What's up, everyone? Michael Damon here with the latest episode of Starbeam.one, Stand Up and Shine and Shill. We shill here from time to time. It's a series I put together to keep people up to date with my project, Starbeam.one. I've been going at it since 2019. It's based after the agile methodology of a stand-up, where you tell your teammates what you're working on, what you're going to be working on, any sort of friction points that you are encountering, and I've added so much more. Let's begin. Starting off with some program notes at the top of the show, I like to talk about the more important ticket items of what's happening in our world here. And I'm pleased to announce tomorrow, starting on Wednesdays, we're going to start having interview sessions. I think it's going to be every other Wednesday is how we're going to be doing it. But we're going to have our very first interview here, and it's going to be hosted by Willowgate, aka June Gothberg, in our circle here with Starbeam.one artist, and she's going to be interviewing Lee. Lee does AI, or put it in the AI, and it has already actually been recorded, and I've already seen it. I just have to do post-production. I'm really happy with this. I really hope that this is going to be the start of interviews with people that are working with Starbeam.one and getting some insight. And this interview is really special. Really happy about that, and I look forward to premiering that tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. So be on the lookout for that. So that's happening, and that's a big piece of news there. And the other news here is that it's a 5-week month, and so May is 5 weeks. And as you know, this is a semi-weekly stand-up, and that means we do the first Tuesday of the month and then the third Tuesday of the month. And if there are any further additional Tuesdays there that we could do, we ignore those. So there's going to be 3 weeks where we don't have a show. And then I will see you again on June 6th, and that is going to be Alpha 4 if all goes well. Okay, cool. Let's move on to the next slide here. Okay, dashboard. I'm actually really excited about this dashboard with all the statistics that we're going to get into here in a little bit. But if you want to go to the dashboard, you're free to do that at any time. You don't even have to be signed in. And in fact, I am not signed in right now. And you click that hamburger menu up in the top right, and you scroll down the dashboard, and that will take you to this page. And it is loaded with statistics that will keep you up to date with our system here with Starbeam.one. And look at these numbers here, right? So I'm just starting out here with our users. We're getting very close to 200 users here. We just passed 80 artists, and we're almost at 100 collectors. I just absolutely love that. And as you can see here, we've had a pretty good sales day here with approaching $70 in 24-hour sales volume, and we're approaching 3,500 all-time sales volume, and those are the primary sales. Those are not resales. Resales are below that. Not a lot of resales today, but we have had them in the past week, and all-time we're at 600. But look at our stats, right? So we've got 4,000 all-time volume. So that's awesome, and we did pass 3,500 as we discussed last time. Average sale amount keeps increasing, which is great. So we like to see that. And so that's kind of the sales figures. We can now go into our visitors, and I always look at this. 7,000 is kind of where we're at right now, and that's pretty good. I'm not really, we're not advertising, we're not doing any sort of formal advertising. It's all word of mouth, very organic, and we're just kind of sitting pat at 7,000, so I'm okay with that. And we've had 200 visitors for today. It's kind of scrolling here. There's another really awesome metric here I want to get to. These are our identity accounts here. Twitter continues to, we have over 100 Twitter identities, and here we are. Look at this, 5,000. We've gone over 5,000 licenses. Right now we're at 5,003, and so we've issued 5,000 licenses, and that's kind of quite the accomplishment there. So that's halfway to 10,000, right? That's going to be a really monumental number as well. But that's sort of kind of what we're doing here, right? And so these licenses that are available now, as we issue and publish more licenses, the licenses that are available now will be worth more as time goes on, because they are the first ones that are issued. And that's kind of how it's supposed to work. We're going to see if that actually does work that way, but that's how it's supposed to work, and we will see over time. But it's just really awesome to have 5,000 licenses that are out there with this system that I made, because that's 5,000 times that something could go wrong and has not. So, I kind of look at it that way and continue to look at it that way. And let's see, we want to scroll here to our inventory, how much is sold versus unsold. This is really interesting because our percentage sold is actually increasing. It's going from 79 to 80 to 81% right now. This is actually the highest I've seen it since I've started keeping track of that. So 81.71% has been sold, which is awesome. But the amount amount of unsold value is actually increasing too. So this is kind of an interesting dynamic here, one that I did not expect. I would expect that if the percentage is sold, that the unsold market value would decrease, but that's actually increasing. So it's because when we replenish, we're replenishing with new inventory that costs more. So that's why it's increasing. But I would not expect that. But that's kind of how life works, right? You don't expect things, and you kind of get data and information that's different from what you expect, and you explore and find out why. Okay, scrolling down here to our markets, you can see our standard, featured, and traditional. You kind of get a guess or kind of indication of how they are doing. And I really haven't looked over here this much, but you can see I kind of look at the the average price, and you can see the average price for our featured is up to 4. It's kind of pushing 4 here, and the default price for our featured is 5. So that's kind of what we're wanting to get. We're wanting to get that $5 per image, and it looks like it's actually getting up to there. So that's kind of, our standard, our traditional market is kind of struggling still, and we're trying to find ways of improving that, but it's still there. And and I'm at fault because I'm really doing poorly with my art right now. We'll kind of get into that a little bit, but that's just, this is why it's up there, to kind of see what's doing good and what's not. Our standard market's doing really well as well. And you can see that's sort of the foundation for everything here. Finally, I just want to scroll here to our withdrawals, right? So we continue to issue out withdrawals. I had a few today, and we have 32 people that we paid 1,605.78 flares to, and that's just a really important number here. I'm just going to make a habit of scrolling to this for each time that we do this slide, and kind of let people know exactly who's getting paid and how much. All right, next slide here. All right, so what did I do? Finally, I got the user account merging story finished. It's more like an epic. It took 3 weeks, which is a lot. That's a lot of work. And, I had a little bit of a hiccup because I got it done. And then I realized that we had a problem. I was testing it. Everything tested fine. The good news, and there's bad news here. Good news is that everything tested fine. I used old production data, and everything merged over without issue, without an exception. Everything worked really well. I was really happy with that. However, there were a few times when I was doing merging, I was like, what if I made a mistake, right? And in kind of hindsight, I should have looked at it as what I was doing with testing, because I was doing a lot of merges at once. But it sort of triggered me. It's sort of like, I started thinking like, what if I made a mistake? If we merged the account in the wrong place, that's a huge mess, and we don't really have a way of undoing that. So I spent a day fretting about this, and that was kind of a drag for me. It kind of set back the schedule a little bit, and I probably shouldn't have entertained it that much. And at the end of the day, I actually started doing the undo story. I actually started adding to this, and I felt terrible. I felt like it was the wrong thing to do ultimately, and I talked myself out of it, which is really difficult for me. It's difficult for me to talk myself out of something when I start doing something like this, and I talked myself out of it. And from there, I decided that, the merging story is actually not going to happen all that much. In fact, it probably won't happen at all. Like, the times that we want to merge are for very edge or exceptional cases. For the most part, people will just want their accidentally created account closed. And I'm actually going to be offering a way to do that on your own. If you haven't done any sort of transactions and you just accidentally created an account, you can just close it. So we're gonna add that, and that's what I'm gonna be adding on here in the next 3 weeks. So that's actually in the pipeline here, and we're going to be having that functionality. So, user merge stories aren't going to happen all that often, and we still allow you to do a self-merge if you want to. And I'm just thinking that, and the other thing that we do is I have a weighting system in there, so it's very clear which account is the dominant account, is what I call it, and has a higher score, a higher weight, so that when you merge something, you can select where all that data goes to, and it's going to be the one that has the highest score. By default, you can change it, but and at the end of the day, the long story short here, or long story longer, is that basically just to be really careful with merging. So when a merge occurs, just be really careful, and we'll just take it from there. Whew, okay, so I'm really just so glad that that's done. There's a few things that I needed to do with a merge. And the other thing I wanted to do is add more telemetry. So I just had to add a little bit more information. It turns out I was adding a lot of information, but I just wanted to have a little bit more that was in there in case something did go wrong. I had all the data kind of backed up. Because the problem with doing merge is that if you save a reference to your data, getting kind of technical here, but let's say that you, authentication, right? So you're going to say, I'm going to merge this authentication, and I'm going to store it here in this database that wasn't stored, because before I was just sending it over to another user, right? But now I'm going to store it as a record in case I need to undo. I'm going to go to this record and I'm going to look up that record, and then I'm going to use that for the undo. Well, it carries a lot of baggage with it, for lack of a better technical term, where you basically have to make sure that things like referential integrity, and if you delete that referencing asset, that gets taken care of, and there's a lot of work behind it. So I just, the right thing would be to do an undo, but with the constraints and everything and the amount of times we'll actually use it, I don't think we're going to be using it all that much. We'll see how that turns out, and it's going to be one of those things where we'll let the system decide for us. If we end up doing a lot of user merging, and I'm getting the sense that we're going to have to do undo at some point, then I can probably revisit it. But let's cross that bridge when we get to it. Okay, so what am I doing now? So I had 10 days of padding. Last time I showed the slide, and that was basically room left over just to kind of account for any sort of slippage of the schedule here. And you can see that here under the remainder. There's a right above the green bar there's a remainder, and we have 3 days left. So basically a week was spent churning over the user merge and the undo stress that I was adding on myself, and now we've got 3 days left. But that's probably not too bad. I'm actually having a good feeling for the remainders of these tasks, because there are like 2-day stories, 1-day stories, 1.5, maybe 3.5-day stories, and I think we might be able to get most, if not all of these done in 3 weeks. We'll see. Friction points. Okay, Hide the Pain Herald is back, and we've got some issues here. Goodness gracious. So, this kind of happens after we talk about support tickets. All the support tickets go away, and I celebrate it, and then lo and behold, another one pops up. And right now I'm really dealing with this Azure support ticket, and part of the problem is that there's just really poor communication with this ticket, and I haven't gotten a clear story on what exactly is happening. It has something to do with startups, is what I heard. Microsoft for startups. They're not even calling it Microsoft for startups. They just call it startups, just to kind of give you an indication of how poor the communication is, when you're referencing an external group, please say the whole name, the full name, the little details like that. And they're doing things like misspelling my name and attention to detail sort of things. Like, this is the sort of thing, like, you talk about support, you want to make sure that you have all of your I's dotted and your T's crossed, sort of thing. And I'm just not getting the feeling with this ticket. Well, I opened this ticket up in February, and it is still ongoing. Yes, that is over 3 months now. It is a pain. It's like, what is going on here? And this is not the first time I've opened this ticket. I opened this ticket last time in August. So I believe it was August 12th, and it took a month to fix. So it's already occurred, and it's happened before, and they took a month to fix it. And here we are. It's happened twice, and now it's 3 months later, and it's taken 3 times as long, and I still get the feeling they don't know what's wrong. And it's really like, the last thing that I got back was that they want to do a screen capture of what I'm doing, or a collection, or a log collection. And then it's like, I've given you 2 of these already, and here we are 3 months later. What's going on? And so now I'm almost getting testy, right? So it's just a huge test of patience for me. This is what I like about support tickets, because it does challenge me in this regard, and I am very challenged right now. But I'm just thinking, what is going on after 3 months? Now, this is 4 months now. I have not been able, under Microsoft for Startups, that I have not been able to open up a support ticket. This is really concerning, right? It's like, this is a benefit that, it's supposed to be $1,200 for a year of this. It's $100 a month that I get as a benefit, and that's 4 months now that I haven't been able to use that. And it's really concerning, right? And what's more concerning is the support, right? And I've talked to the manager, and I'm almost getting to the point where it's like talking to the manager's manager, and getting back to being testy. It's like, okay, I'm to the point now. It's like, I'm wanting you to explain in your own words. I want to read it in your own words, what exactly you think is wrong with this ticket, right? Like, it's getting to this point. It's like, I'm having to employ these, basically foundation, sanity tactics, right? I want to test my sanity, make sure my sanity is intact here, and everyone's on the same page so that we can fix this problem. And I'm almost to the point where it's like, okay, I'm going to talk about it here on the show and let them know about this so that they can see me talking about it, and know that maybe I might be sounding testing in the support ticket, but I'm not that testing. I'm actually just I am frustrated. I'm really surprised. It's, if you have a problem that you took a month to fix, and now you've got 3 months now that you're still working on it and you're asking the customer to do another screen capture. That doesn't make sense to me. So we've gotten to the point now where I'm talking about it on Friction Points here with Hide the Pain Harold. He's my compatriot in pain here when we talk about things that go wrong. Okay, so moving on from that, we've got Clear Tax. I've got an issue with my tax company here. I'm CPAs, and it's been going on since December. It's another one of those things that's been going on since December. And, they contacted me to get my taxes set in 2022 or 2022 tax season in December of 2022. And they took 2 months to reply to my emails. It took 2 months to get any sort of meaningful conversation. And now I'm having to pay twice as much now for my taxes as I did in for the 2021 taxes. And so that's unexpected, right? Like I paid $350 or $300 actually for my taxes, for my 2021 taxes in 2022. And now I'm going to have to, looks like I'm supposed to pay $700, and that's something I should have found out in December, I'm feeling, right? And it's like I contacted you, or you contacted me in December. So you contacted me in December. I always get September and September. Did I say September? I always get those mixed up. But you contacted me in December, and I tried to contact you back, and no, it really doesn't feel like my account was handled properly, and I wasn't put into a place of success. And the irony is that this email was sent under the banner of Stress-Free Tax Experience 2022. All right, so that's kind of my pain now. I guess we can move on to the next slide here. Oof, I'm feeling like got really cooked up there with talking about how much I'm complaining about all the things that are going on. Although it's really not all that bad or discouraging or anything like that. It's not like a technology thing. It's more of just things that are happening. I put like a 2 or a 3, maybe a 4. I don't know. That Azure support is kind of terrible, right? Like I just don't understand how you can go a month, fix something, and then take 3 months to fix the same problem. It's just really, really irritating to me. Okay, so enough complaining. Let's talk about effectiveness levels. And these are emotional levels. These are levels that we talk about how I feel about things. We talk about, getting in touch with your feelings and expressing your feelings and doing that in a productive way. And so effectiveness is sort of like the emotional content of what you are. So the best word I can think of for these slides, and I broke them down to different categories here now for morale. So we talk about morale, and overall it's taken a hit here because of the scheduling, right? There's nothing worse than seeing 10 days of padding being reduced to 3. Based on a mistake that was kind of my own, right? Like it's one of those things where I landed on the right decision after all, but I could have avoided it if I was a little bit smarter about it, I feel. So I'm taking a little bit of a hit there. Schedule, same thing, right? So kind of connected to that. It was at a 6, and now I'm like, well, if I actually get these tasks done within that 3 days of padding, this will be a lot higher. Technology remains at a 9, really great. Everything's really, really working well now. Marketing now it was, for the longest time it was a 6, and now it's kind of just inching up to a 7. And a big part of this goes out to Liliuni, who's been doing great work there with our Twitter, just really doing great work, not only scheduling it, but the content of the scheduling, like just putting the tweets together. And I'm reading these tweets and I'm like, yes, this is how. And I know that she's doing a great job with that because we're starting to get bots. Bots are starting to like our tweets. And it's like, oh, even the bots agree we're doing good work. So that's new. We've had everyone ignoring us, including bots. And now the bots are starting to pay attention. So I would consider that a win. Right? So that's why we've gone up from a 6 to a 7. Thanks, Liliuni. Appreciate it. Support. I haven't really gotten a lot of support. So I feel good about the tickets I do open. So that's an 8.5. All right, let's try to slide this under 20 minutes here. I know I'm just talking up a storm about all the things that go wrong. And it's also catching up on something that's been going on for 12 weeks, right? It's like, at one point they're like, yes, when did this start? Really? You're asking me when this started? And I'm also including links. How long ago was February 12th? A little bit, of a little prod there to help out. And I do that for my nags when I, get into support tickets or just nagging people in general. There's an awesome site, how long ago was, and then I provide the link, and I've done this 5 or 6 times, and it's just like, you wanting me to go back and provide you timestamps of the times that I provided those links? This is exactly what I've had to deal with. So there you are. Okay. We're over 20 minutes. Most of me complaining this time around. I've been doing a good job not complaining, so I think I'm making up for it here. So, okay, with that said, thank you to everyone out there. I really appreciate all the support here. 5,000 licenses that we've issued, and we've got the 4,000 of 4,000 all-time volume that we've passed as well, and it's just a great time right now. It's still quiet. We haven't even done any advertising yet, and that's why we're doing these tasks. And at the end of this, starting in June 6th, we'll start advertising, right? And that's what this is all about. So that's kind of the goal here, and so I'm excited about that. That's there's a reason why we're doing all this, and even though there doesn't seem like a lot's happening right now to the site, there is a lot that's in the background that's going to make it so that we can start advertising and get more people. But we are getting, it feels like we're getting more collectors, and there's a little bit of momentum building, very slowly but surely, sort of thing. So thank you to everyone out there, and with that said, until next time, stay safe out there and stay bright. Goodbye.